Good morning. It's about 7:15 a.m. on a Friday, and I think we need to talk about Qatar or Qatar. I have lots of tidbits of things. It's called my hodgepodge. Um, so, anyway, what I'd like to discuss with you is the truth about Qatar or Qatar. It's a Muslim country. It's a country that sits right off the end of Saudi Arabia into the Gulf. And recently, in the last 2 or 3 months, Saudi Arabia and I think it was 8 countries in total put an embargo on Qatar or Qatar and claimed that Qatar was sympathizing with the terrorists. Okay, so their banks are frozen. There are a lot of people, Americans, British, so on and so forth, that are all stuck over there in this embargo. They can't leave. They won't give them an exit visa. Frozen their bank accounts, called in their loans, whatever. They really made it hard for a lot of people. People can't even get out of there to go get jobs somewhere else so they can, keep paying their loans or credit cards or whatever from the Qatari National Bank. It's all part of that embargo situation. And, truth is this. Qatar is not funding terrorism. Okay? It's not sympathizing with the terrorists. What actually went down was the UAE and the US and a few of the other countries went to Qatar and asked them to host the Taliban in Qatar or Qatar and an office there because the US and the UAE and them wanted to establish peace talks with the Taliban. That's the truth. Okay. And then they claim that Qatar is sympathizing with Iran. The only thing connecting Qatar to Iran is the sea because of the oil. That's it. They have to talk to each other because of the boundaries, because of the oil. But other than that, Qatar, from what I know, which is extensive, is not really having anything to do with what Iran's doing. Okay, so that's where that stands. And another bit of information you might be interested in is you remember the guy in the military that went AWOL overseas in a Muslim country. Birdall was his name. And if you remember correctly, the U.S. government traded 5 terrorists for him so that they could get him out, where he was kidnapped. Well, bottom line's this. The facts are the facts. Birdall went AWOL. Then the idiot got himself kidnapped. Right? Then there was a trade for the terrorists. Well, all 5 of them terrorists that were traded that were in, oh, good God. I've forgotten what it's called. Guantanamo Bay. Right? All 5 of them terrorists were Taliban. Just so you're aware. And they were sent to Qatar, or Qatar, Qatar. Alright, and they're on house arrest, is what they're on. They're monitored 24 hours a day. They're on a no-fly list. They can't travel, no nothing. So basically, Qatar, basically, the U.S. and the UAE and some of the other countries asked them to host an office for the Taliban for peace talks, and those 5 Taliban terrorists were sent there. They didn't send them back to Yemen or any of that kind of stuff. They sent them there.
Call from +1 8.
So there's some reality for you. Some truth. And and the U.S. asked them to do it. So didn't the UAE. And then you got Saudi Arabia. It's kind of interesting. Trump goes over there, strikes up a big old business deal with Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia hates Qatar. They've got like a Hatfield-McCoy situation going on over there. And Saudi Arabia is jealous of Qatar because they're a much more oil-rich country. And every time that Saudi Arabia gets an opportunity to stick it to Qatar, they do it. If you want to know some more truth, and I'll tell you, I married a man in intelligence who's worked intelligence for 30 years. Above military intelligence. I'm talking Pentagon level type stuff, you know. So, anyway, so I do know what I'm talking about. Okay. And I'm not hiding nothing from any of you. It's the time now for everybody to stand up and just tell the flippin' real truth. And that's just the way it is, you know. So, it was Saudi Arabia and the royal family that was funding Osama bin Laden. And you say, how do you know that? And this was before I married my husband, just so you're aware, back in 2002, 2003? I was living in Spain, and Marbella, Puerto Banús, you know. And it's a place called Olivia Valeri. And it's a very, very upscale restaurant and club. And anybody who's anybody goes. And I had a lot of money, had a lot of connections with the Spanish and so on and so forth, and Spanish, Italian, so on and so forth. And so I was in that world, the elite world. And we all hung out at Olivia Valeri. Well, every August, the Saudi king and the princes come to Puerto Banús, to Marbella. And they vacation during the month of August for 30 days. And they were hanging out in Olivia Valeri. Well, they liked me. So they asked me to join them. So we all hung out together. And they sat there, and these princes, they're very well educated. They're taught at Princeton, you know, Oxford, all the Ivy League schools. And they speak extremely good English. You know, they speak better than we do. And the truth is, they sat there and talked openly about the royal family support.
Call from Brooklyn D.
Just so you're aware. So, that's real truth. That's not a bunch of bullshit or hearsay. I heard it with my 2 ears, saw it with my 2 eyes, and I talked back and forth with them. In fact, I can give you major details. We'd hang out. There'd be thousands of dollars spent for a prime seating arrangement in Olivia Valeri's. They have sofas, sectionals, you know, that kind of thing. It was a very, pretty fancy club, really. Dancing and all that kind of thing, you know, exceptional bars, that kind of thing. Nicely done, very elegant, very classy, and the restaurant was exceptional as well there. And, if I had to go to the bathroom, one of the princes would just move his hand up, and the bodyguard would get up, and he would come and stand by me and put his hand out like, well, it's kind of hard sitting down, but he would just come up to me and put his hand out like this, and then I was to lay my hand on top of his, and he escorted me to the bathroom. Whatever I needed, if I wanted something to drink, boom. You know, whatever. That's just reality. That's living in that world, that kind of world. And so I learned about the terrorists. And they knew that I wasn't happy with the United States because of all the corruption and the dirty crap. You know, that's why I left in the first place. And, you know, so they spoke more, they trusted me, and they spoke more openly to me. Now, they did invite me to Saudi Arabia, but my friends told me not to go because once a woman goes over there, you can't leave. So I listened to my friends, and I didn't go. Kind of sometimes I wish I hadn't one way, but gone. But in another way, I'm glad I didn't, you know. So that's reality. That's truth. So that's the truth about Qatar and Qatar. Well, what's the sad thing about Qatar is you got a whole bunch of people are trapped over there, Americans and so on and so forth, you know, because they have debt, because they work in companies over there, fighting anti-terrorism and various things. And when the embargo hit, they shut a lot of the companies down, and people became unemployed and couldn't pay their debts. And they can't even leave the country to go get another job to finish paying their debts. And their banks called in the loans and the credit cards and so on and so forth over there. So people are struggling trying to get money to help pay them out of there, you know. So that's how they did it. And that's what's wrong with Qatar or Qatar. I strongly suggest that QNB Bank be shut down. I strongly suggest that every banking system that's out there, that they shut QNB Bank off. I mean completely off. No commodities tradings, no nothing. No currency exchange, nothing. Because if they're going to treat people like that when their country's put under an embargo, then, that's not a very decent country as far as I'm concerned, from that perspective. Now, do I think it's right that Saudi Arabia and the other countries put an embargo on Qatar? No, I don't. Because they're lying. And do I think it's right what our U.S. government did and the UAE did to ask them to host the Taliban for peace talks? Well, at the time it seemed like it would be a good idea to create peace, but now I don't believe so. Because if you look at the history of the Taliban, it sucks, but our damn CIA helped establish the Taliban in the beginning in the first place. So there you go. Meanwhile, all of us peons out there, we frickin' suffer. Our families and friends and so on and so forth. We all suffer because of what our U.S. government and the UAE government and them have done, right? So that's just the bottom line. That's the real truth. And you can look it up for yourself. All you have to do is get on there and Google, U.S. government, UAE asks Qatar or Qatar to host an office for the Taliban for peace talks. That's all you got to Google. I get my stuff other ways, true facts and things, but the truth is the truth. They're not funding terrorism. They're not sympathizing with the terrorists. They're not doing any of that kind of stuff. They were just complying and doing what the U.S. government and the UAE and some of the other governments asked them to do. They were just asked to host an office. And when Birdall, basically AWOL'd, that's what he went AWOL, and then he got himself kidnapped. Those 5 terrorists were Taliban, and they were sent to Qatar or Qatar. They didn't want to send them back to Yemen so they could get back and start fighting again against us and everybody else in the terrorism side of things. So there's some truth for you, Now, and that's this is talking about Qatar and Qatar today. If we don't stand up, if we don't join forces, I don't give a damn if you're the mob. I don't care if you're a white supremacist. I don't care if you're KKK. I don't care if you're biker gangs, whatever. You know what? I'm going to try to do my best to help you. That's it. We're going to join forces, all of us. And we're going to clean up this damn mess once and for all. That's just the way it's going to go down. And I'm asking you to join me. Support me in whatever I need. And I'm going to help you. Every way that I can. We're going to get rid of the damn corruption. We're going to get rid of the systems that don't work. And we're going to put these people that rob, and steal and feed drugs to kids and, sell kids on the market and all that. We're going to clean this shit up. That's what we're going to do. We create our own government, our own country, our own people. Because we're all smart enough to do it. That's just it. We're not going to play diplomacy. We're not going to grease palms. Okay, we're just going to clean shit up. That's it. Bottom line. Because I freaking had it. I'm sick of being robbed. I've had my dignity taken. God, I've been blackmailed, robbed, bullied. And that's just the way it is. And I've had enough. That's it. I'm done. I trusted the system and it failed me. And I've watched it fail many, many others. I ain't taking no more shit. And I ain't putting up with any more sadness or pain because I'm so empathic to people. I have been trying for years to help children that are out there and bought and sold for sex trades. I've done all kinds of things, try to help elderly people, you know, and all I've gotten it for, it's my reputation ruined and robbed and my financial stuff ruined over and over again. People I care so much about and respected and loved because they were good people got hurt, you know, because of greedy, selfish crooks and thieves, you know. You know, if you're the mob, you know, they got their own structure, you know, government structure, I always like to say. You know, they have all their different tiers and levels and so on and so forth. But they've got a code. It's an honor code, the mob. Now, I don't agree with everything they do, but you know what? That's on them. You know, but I'll tell you, it's a hell of a lot better than these bully thugs out there that don't have any integrity, you know, or any structure. They're just going around and robbing people and, you know, blackmailing them and stealing and doing whatever the hell they just feel like they want to do for the day, you know. So, let's go for it, folks. Let's clean house. If you're a fucking crook, we're coming after you. That's what we need to do. We don't need to worry about the system anymore. I mean, our police are up to their frickin' eyeballs and shooting people and them getting shot. We're going to have to clean house ourselves. That's it. We got to clean up the messes. And if you're a corrupt politician, you might as well just resign now. Because if we all get together, you're out anyway. And that's what they need to understand, that they're done. You know, I know a whole lot of shit. I married a man in intelligence. I spent some time in Washington. I know a lot of shit on a lot of the senators and governors and their offices sitting there with their mistresses and all this other shit. You know? Not paying attention and doing what they should be doing. They need to stop thinking that they've got to be, you know, politically correct. And, you know, they've got to, I don't even know how to describe what all they need to do to get their act together. Seriously. You know, they need to stop being politically correct, and diplomacy needs to go out the damn window, and they need to focus and do their damn job, because that's what they were elected for. They're getting paid. Now they need to do their job right, and if they can't, kick their frickin' ass out. It's like, Jim Justice. That son of a bitch was laundering money. Yeah, he was, through his casino. And he's going to always sit there. He always claims, well, you know, I own so many businesses, I can't pay attention to what everybody's doing. Bullshit. I know for a fact he spent a lot of time at his own damn casino. I saw him myself. And I know damn well he was laundering money through his casino to the Russians. And that whole stuff that came out of West Virginia about the collusion and the Russians, and then him and Trump sitting there emphatically denying it. You know, that man's guilty, 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 guilty. Know it for a fact. And if you look at my other video, you'll know why, because I was there. You know, I always like to say God sends me where he needs me, you know. And sometimes I get hurt, and that's okay. I suffer. All right, fine. But I'm still sticking up for what's right. And that's what's important, you know. Because at the end of the day, it's all about family, friends, loved ones, whoever they are. You know, it's about life. It's about people. It's not about money and power and all this other bullshit. You know, it's all bullshit. Now, are we going to need a leader? Yeah, we're going to need a leader. And I'm prepared to try to lead everybody. I'm going to need some help, and I'm going to need some protection. And that's the way it's going to go. I'm a very intelligent woman. And I know that. And I know what my heart tells me. and my heart is good. I get angry because I get so sick of these crooks, you know. I'm so sick of being, it really sucks to be a female and be intelligent, but not be physically strong enough, and have to live in a moral value system where a good girl doesn't and a bad girl does, And that's how I grew up. And have to deal with these freaking crooks blackmailing you and exposing your privacy and all this other shit, And we need to clean house. We need to take the bullies and the thugs and we need to clean the house. Ourselves. Some people are already doing it. It's like there was a news article a week or so ago. This guy comes in to rob a convenience store, sticks a gun up at the girl's face, I think it was, and she shoots him. Bravo. Absolutely, honey. His ass deserved to be shot. You gonna sit there and kill you or you kill him? It's him or you. And that's just the way it is. So these assholes out there stealing and stuff, and we gotta clean up the fucking drugs. Now marijuana, as long as it's natural and it's not lined with a bunch of, formaldehyde or whatever they want to put in it, that's not cool. But natural marijuana, they're finding out it's actually medically a good, herb basically that helps people with cancers and everything else. Am I going to knock that? No, I'm not. If they're lining it with chemicals that kill people, then that's a whole different ball game, And the kids, I don't care who you are, you don't feed kids drugs. Now what you do as an adult's your own business. That's your choice, This whole drug thing, we're talking meth and all this other shit. It needs to stop because these people are killing themselves and they aren't smart enough to know any better. Our bodies, from the day we're born, we die. We have cell regeneration and cell death. That's just the curse that was put on us from back in the day of Adam and Eve. So that's our human clay pot bodies. So and I smoke, don't get me wrong. I destroy my body every day, But the bottom line is this, This is a legal drug. Whether it's right or wrong, that's up to interpretation. But, these other drugs and things, that's why houses are getting robbed and stuff. And then you got scumbags. Like I know this one guy, Freddie, and he victimized me pretty good. And, he's a piece of shit. And he turned a college town into a drug town, a pedophile town, and he built tons and tons of HUD housing, for ex-cons and so on and so forth. And I don't got nothing wrong with ex-cons, trust me. But, the problem is he's using it so he can make more money, so he can, commit more crime. He fancies himself like a mobster, just so you're aware. One time he called me and, what was he saying? Oh yeah, he was ranting and raving about this murder, that murder. He wouldn't say what murder. And they wasn't pinning that shit on him. And he was on vacation. He called it vacation at the time when this one guy was killed and so on and so forth. And then he quoted, and I'll never forget it. He said, he was like Teflon, nothing sticks to him. And I've heard him repeatedly say that the cops can never get him because he's too well insulated and so on and so forth, And that's what he says, He's committed arson with his own properties. And, there was a fire marshal, for example, that I think he had 5 or 6 properties burned down. I think it was what was said within 5 or 6 years. It's kind of clear that it's arson, So the fire marshal even brought somebody in from another state, special investigator, because of the, the situation. And this bastard kept collecting from the insurance company. You know what I mean? So So this is some of the shit we need to do. If you got structure and you're the mob, you're the mob. Okay, you guys have your own code, your own government structures, I like to always say, and some of the other groups. But, these freelance pieces of shit, like old Freddie, we need to clean house with those son of a bitches. We need to stop that too. Legal system's failing. Doesn't help people. You go to them and you tell them what's happening. Your family's being stalked or tormented or sabotaged in some way, and you don't get much help, And so that's just the reality of the situation. So let's join forces. I'm ready to fight. I accept whatever the outcome is. I don't care anymore. That's just reality. I care about the kids, I care about the elderly, and, I care about people. But you can't trust the system. You trust the system, you tell the truth, and they twist shit around on you. And that's reality. It's a big old reality check. Let's get rid of these freelance criminals. And their little thug groups. And let's clean house. Let's get rid of the corruption. And I'll keep pumping the truth out there to you. Let's join forces. Let's clean house. Let's create a peaceful country and a peaceful world. We can do it because we're all smart enough to do it. All of us have the gifts and the talents, all that kind of thing. And I'll use all of mine to help all of you. It's going to make me one busy chick, and that's okay, And, but I'm asking you for your help, and I'm asking you to join forces. That's what I'm asking you to do. And let's start cleaning our country back up. I, for one, want a nice country so you can eat dinner and then leave your house, leave your door unlocked, and you walk down the street and look at the stars and have a nice conversation with someone, I want to see the days where we all go out for happy hour and everybody's all happy and social and happy, enjoying their life. I want people to be able to work and be able to enjoy the fruits of their labor instead of the way it is now, That's just the way it is. We're going to have to clean house. All the way from the White House down. That's the way it's going to have to go. So, you people can stick your heads in the sand and keep saying it'll be okay. They know what they're doing, whatever, and make excuses because you're tired or whatever. But you're going to have to pull inside of here like me. And you're going to have to, find some energy reserve to fight. That's what we got to do. That's just the bottom line. That's what we have to do. So anyway. So I just think, I just wanted you to know the truth about Qatar and about the embargo and about who's playing what game. Okay? You just guys need to, you can Google it, you can put in there Qatar sponsoring, Taliban office for peace talks, U.S. or UAE, whatever you want to put in there. And you can read it for yourself. Qatar is not sympathizing with the terrorists. They were just asked to be a host country, and Saudi Arabia and some of the other countries are jumping on that wagon. There's a whole lot of stuff I can tell you about. It's true. I married somebody in intelligence. And see, that's another thing. I married a man in intelligence, and those guys are seriously secretive, and they try not to let their wives and their families know what they do. You know what I mean? And but I learned a lot, because of my relationship with my husband. And, this thing with the guy in Las Vegas and the Filipino woman. First of all, I'd like you to know that the Philippines, two things, and I'm not saying everybody, But I don't want to tar and feather everybody with the same brush. But you know about the guy that just massacred a bunch of people up in Las Vegas. I know that you guys are very aware of that, just like I am. It's been all over the news. And he had a Filipino girlfriend. Well, right now, ISIS has a strong... ISIS has a stronghold in the Philippines. And another thing, for you American men, oh, for Pete's sake, get a life. Seriously. You go and you can't function with American women because we're so independent, you know. So you go over to Russia, and you get these women in Russia or Philippines, and they cry a sob story to you how they've been raped and abused and so on and so forth. And I'm not saying that that's not true in some cases, but you also got to look at their cultures. They're raised at a very young age to prostitute themselves. Their families sell them off. Same thing with Phuket, for example, in Thailand, right? You can buy a child over there. Well, you could back in 2002 and 2003, you could buy a kid for $2,000. A little boy, a little girl. And it's what these pedophiles do, you know? And you say, how do I know that? Well, because I met an Austrian man that knew a guy that owned a chain of casinos that lived in Spain. And he bought a girl. And he had her from the age of 10. And he, you know, raped her and did what he did to her. And she was about to turn 15 years old, and she was too old for him then, you know. And that's just how that went. And I tried to liberate her. So yeah, I do know about child trafficking. So, in fact, there's a guy that has an impeccable reputation. He's British, and I was involved with him, and it threw me into that world, and he's a flippin' kid pedophile. Hate to admit it, but it's the truth. He was a big executive in a software company, like a CEO. Can you imagine? A pedophile. He's trying to groom me to pick up children. I'm like, Are you sick? Are you twisted? What, you know, what's up with you? And then, you know, when he went a business deal, I tried to get the hell away from him. And my solicitor told me to go through his paperwork so I could find my money and my passport and so on and so forth. And when I was looking for it, I found zip discs with pornographic material, little boys and little girls, and then the other one had bestiality on it. He was one sick puppy, let me tell you. But, you know, because his brother-in-law was a cop. Oh, them zip discs, they just disappeared from the police. Yes, they did. But you know what? Like my other videos, I kept myself a little bit of proof. I guess that's why he tried to have me killed. But, you know, whatever. Bottom line, it is what it is. This is the shit we have to clean up. We want a world where our kids